Swamin Namaste Natalokabandho Karunya Sindho Patitam Bhavabdho Mamuddharatmiya Kataksha Drishtya Rijvyati Karunya Sudhabhivrishtiya Swamin Namaste Swamin Namaste Swamin Namaste Swamin Namaste Jnanasvarupam Nijabhavayuktam Anandamanandakaram Prasannam Yogindramedhyam Bhavarogavadyam Srimadgurum Nityamaham Namami Srimadgurum Nityamaham Namami Nityaya Satyaya Chidatmakaya Navyaya Bhavyaya Paratparaya Shuddhaya Buddhaya Niranjanaya Namostu Nityam Guru Shekharaya Namostu Nityam Guru Shekharaya Namostu Nityam Guru Shekharaya. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru. So I'm back again. And last week, since I was not there was a recorded talk, as Namrata has just now told all of you. And the previous week, I discussed with you, reading out from Prabhati Rashmi, Swamiji's talks, what is meant by sadhana and seeking. And this is very important. Many people, they do not know what this sadhana is. The interest is there, the aspiration is there. Lot of time is also spent in reading, listening, contemplating. But actually, what is this sadhana? Many miss. As I always tell you, a seeker, a sadhak, should have the primary identity of a sadhak or a seeker. And everything in life, every moment, whether it is a thought, it is some word spoken, some actions done, or interactions with others, in everything, every moment, the sadhana should not be lost. And what is the sadhana? Sadhana is to become pure and purer. To understand that I am the self and I am not this body-mind complex. To understand that all that happens in the mind, that is not actually my real self. The self is absolutely changeless, decayless, it is eternal, it is all-pervading and imperishable. Whatever happens, the changes in the mind, intelligence, and in the body, all that happens to the body-mind complex, which is mortal which is perishable, and the soul or the self is different from that. This is what we have to realize. I am the self and I am always the self. To be established in this knowledge, maybe when we have tread this path for some time, we know the existence of the self or the soul or Brahman. We have that knowledge, we know the characteristics of self or Brahman, but we have to get established in that knowledge. Never lose that knowledge. Never fall from that knowledge and that wisdom. This is what we have to do. And where will we do it? In our everyday life, in our day-to-day life, moment-to-moment life, in each thought and action, in each interaction, we have to get established in this fact of our own identity, the real identity that I am the self. So, that is how it becomes very interesting. It should not be something very different from me. Spirituality or sadhana is nothing different from myself. In everything I should find spirituality. In everything I should find divinity. And that is what last time in the last session, not last week, that week before that, I was reading out from Prabhat Rashmi book, which are short talks by Pujya Swamiji in the morning to all of us. Morning rays, Prabhat Rashmi, which tells us how to become spiritual, divine, pure every moment. And ultimately, I think I stopped with a question which Swamiji is explaining to us. The question is, what is purity? And the first point that Swamiji said, purity is desirelessness. And the second point that he said is effacing the ego effacement. And third is not to have any possessiveness. These are the points of purity. We will do this in great detail later on. Today I thought I'll go back to this growing in Sattva Guna. This purity is also that. See, I think in all these sessions that we have had, we have understood this, that the mind should be pure, the mind should be desireless, mind should be absolutely calm and tranquil. And in that pure mind, which is desireless, the self will reveal itself. I am the self, my real nature is the self or soul, which is imperishable, changeless. But because the mind is always restless, disturbed, agitated, the self, although it is always there, we are not able to grasp it. So the mind has to become calm and quiet and absolutely tranquil. Just like when there is a vessel of water, if the water is very clean, we can see our face into it. Suppose we throw a pebble or a stone piece in that water, we can see it clearly. But suppose we give little movement into the water or throw some mud into the water, the stone will not be seen clearly, neither we will be able to see our face clearly. Why? Because there is impurity in the water. Similarly is the mind. When there is impurity in the mind, the self is not revealed. When it is absolutely calm, absolutely restless, restful, absolutely tranquil, the self will get revealed. The self which is our true identity. These things I think we have gone through over and over again and again, and it has gone deep into our mind and heart. But the thing is that how to make the mind calm. That is the problem for everybody. And that is the sadhana. How to make the mind calm and tranquil. How in the midst of everything that comes, good, bad, favorable, unfavorable, happiness, unhappiness, we can still remain stable. We can still remain unaffected. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Who is saying that? Our scriptures are saying that. And our scriptures, words are said by our saints and seers and gurus. We must have faith in that. We must have faith and shraddha in those words. So, we have discussed in great detail that the mind becomes bound, affected, disturbed by Rajoguna and Tamoguna. The nature is a mixture of three gunas. Everything in this world is a mixture of three gunas: Sattva Guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. And Rajoguna and Tamoguna, they bring about lot of disturbances or dullness to the mind, by which the mind is not able to be pure. And we have done these in great detail earlier. We have been discussing about how the mind itself is the cause of bondage, and the same mind becomes the cause of liberation. When Rajoguna and Tamoguna are in excess, then the mind gets bound, because the traits of Rajoguna and Tamoguna, they do not allow the mind to become still and pure. But the same mind at a time starts feeling that these should be overcome and I should be liberated. I do not want this bondage. I should be liberated. And the same mind, when it becomes pure, it becomes liberated. We also saw that the human nature, as I just now said, is a mixture of Sattva Guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Out of that, both Rajoguna and Tamoguna, they are the cause of bondage for the mind, and for liberation, Sattva Guna should be cultivated. The Sattva Guna, how it can be cultivated, that is our question now. We will deal with that. The Sattva Guna are the traits. It will lead us to the traits which will make the mind calm, peaceful, luminous and happy, joyful. And Rajoguna represents various kinds of activities with their causes and motivations. And the effects of Rajoguna, those are traits like greed, extrovert drive, enterprise, unceasing involvement in activities. Because of Rajoguna, one will want to do activity after activity, always wanting to do something or other, cannot keep quiet, and unabating desire. Similarly, the Tamoguna, the effects are pramada, inattention, delusion, lethargy, procrastination, ignorance, darkness, all these things. And Sattva Guna has the power. I told you, just now described, although we have done it in great detail earlier. In short, I told what are the effects of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. And in short, we can say, when Rajoguna and Tamoguna are there in the mind, there is a veil in the mind. Veil of either too much of activity, constantly thinking about that, constantly thinking about how one can do the actions, what will be the consequences, whether one will be successful or not. The thoughts will be only on external things. And if it is Tamoguna, then the mind becomes lethargic, doesn't want to work at all, thinks that I will do it later, wants to sleep constantly, or wants to simply sit idly. Whatever has to be done, one doesn't do it. Whatever is not to be done, one does that. So these are the effects of Tamoguna. Naturally, the mind is not luminous. The mind is veiled. The mind is dark. Sattva brings about the light. And Sattva has the power to subdue the Rajas and Tamas. Similarly, since these three are there in nature, at any time, Rajoguna also can become more. Whoever has more of Rajoguna, they are always active. Whoever has more of Tamoguna, they are always tamasic. They are always dull. And whoever has more of Sattva Guna, they have the power to subdue the Rajas and Tamas. Now, Sattva Guna is necessary for sadhana, to progress in sadhana, to make the mind calm and quiet, to aspire for wisdom, aspire for knowledge, to have that dridha nischaya, that firm resolve to progress in this path. All this Sattva Guna gives us. So a seeker, my dear children, mark my words, a seeker should strive properly and consistently to make Sattva Guna pronounced. Sattva Guna pronounced and sublimate Rajas and Tamas. Maybe one has lot of Rajasic tendencies, Tamasic tendencies, both will be there. Sattvic tendencies are also there. As soon as one feels interested in spiritual path, spiritual practices, starts having interest to progress in spirituality, one is actually treading the path of Sattva. For that seeker to progress more and more, one must, he or she must strive to bring more and more Sattva Guna in nature, sublimating and reducing the effects of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. This is absolutely necessary. Now, this is why we have studied Rajoguna and Tamoguna in great detail. Why? We have understood that what effect Rajoguna will have in one's personality, what effect Tamoguna will have in the personality, so that one can assess oneself. A spiritual seeker must assess oneself and see, oh, these are the traits which are hindering me. So I should sublimate these, remove these, whether those traits may be of Rajasic nature or Tamasic nature. So a seeker always will have to be very attentive to oneself, very attentive. Now, this Sattva Guna, what is it? Bhagavad Gita says, Tatra Sattvam Nirmalatvat Prakashakamanāmayam Sukha Sangena Badhnati Jnana Sangena Chanagha. Tatra Sattvam Nirmalatvat Prakashakamanāmayam Sukha Sangena Badhnati Jnana Sangena Chanagha. Sattva, by dint of its purity, Nirmalatvat, Nirmala means pure. By dint of purity, Sattva Guna as such is pure. So, because of this purity, brilliance or luminosity, prakashakam, and anamayam, because of its immaculate nature, what happens? Sattva Guna, it has these characteristics. What are the characteristics? It is pure, it has luminosity or brilliance, and it has an immaculate nature. Also, it is rid of all evil, free of evil. So these are the characteristics of Sattva. And because of that, Sukha Sangena Badnati, Jnana Sangena Chanagha. See, all these qualities, they are noble qualities. Purity, brilliance, and it has a nature which is rid of any kind of evil. These are all noble qualities. Whenever we have noble qualities, every one of us, we have experienced and we keep on experiencing that when we have good qualities, we do something good, noble, virtuous, generous, then we are filled with joy. We are filled with happiness. We are filled with brilliance in the mind. So, this sattva, by dint of its purity, brilliance, and immaculate nature, O Arjuna, who is saying this? This is from Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is telling Arjuna that, O Arjuna, because of the purity, brilliance, and immaculate nature, sattva binds one with happiness and wisdom. So, whosoever has Sattva Guna will have happiness and wisdom. It will bind it. There will be a bondage. It will be given to bound by happiness and wisdom. So, Sattva binds everybody with what? Purity, light or wisdom, and blemish freeness. There is no blemish, there is no dross. Sattva binds everybody with that. So there is purity, there is blemish freeness, there is brilliance. So, mark these words. Go deep into this sloka. What does it mean really? It means that every one of us has the potential to have sattvic qualities. Every one of us, we cannot escape being pure, being wise and guileless. We cannot escape. It is there in us. Every one of us has purity, has wisdom, and we are blemish free. It is there. So, we cannot say that we do not have Sattva Guna. We have it. Definitely we have it. For spiritual progress, what we have to do is, we have to increase this Sattva Guna. Whatever quantity, always these three gunas are in some proportion or other. So whatever Sattva Guna one has to increase it. Like, these are inescapably present here in the nature of everybody. So, in the scheme of nature, this Sattva Guna is along with Rajoguna and Tamoguna. And Krishna explains their implications. What is that? We have to bring down the effects of Rajoguna and Tamoguna, and we have to reinforce Sattva Guna. This is what any spiritual seeker will have to do. So, this is the sadhana. This is the sadhana that one will have to do in spirituality. How do we increase the Sattva Guna? And what does it really mean? We have to see. What does it mean? You know, Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sara Sangraha says, Shrutya Sattva Purananam Sevaya Sattva Vastunaha Anuvritya Cha Sadhunam Sattva Vritti Prajayate. Shrutya Sattva Purananam Sevaya Sattva Vastunaha Anuvritya Cha Sadhunam Sattva Vritti Prajayate. It says, Sattva Purananam Shrutya, listening to Sattvic Puranas, that is, Sattvic Purana means any kind, it can be Upanishads, it can be Bhagavad Gita, spiritual text. Here we should consider it to be the spiritual text. So we should listen to the spiritual text. Sattvic text. It can be anything. It can be devotional, it can be spiritual. It can be the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, all that we are reading. And not only Shrutya, reading. Sattvavastunaha sevaya, absorbing sattvic inputs. Through all our senses, we should absorb the sattvic inputs. Through our 5 senses, we should try to take sattvic inputs. Whatever the eyes see should be sattvic. Whatever the nose smells should be sattvic. Whatever we eat should be sattvic. Whatever we hear should be sattvic. Whatever we touch, that also should give us sattvic input. So, from a spiritual seeker who wants to progress in spirituality should become sattvic from all sides. In every moment, in everything, his mind should be getting the sattvic inputs. Sadhunam anuvrityacha, and service to the saints and Mahatmas. This is also absolutely necessary. See, we want to have the sattvic qualities. We saw that the sattvic qualities, Bhagavad Gita has said what? Bhagavad Gita says the sattvic qualities, it says it is only purity, nirmalatvam, then anaprakashakam, anamayam. These 3. You know what Bhagavatam has said? Bhagavatam has described it in more detail. It says, Shamo damastitiksheksha tapas satyam dayasmriti tushtisthyago spriha shraddha hridayadi swanirvritihi. Shamo damastitiksheksha tapas satyam dayasmritihi tushtisthyago spriha shraddha hridayadi swanirvritihi. It says, Shamaha, Damaha. What is Shamaha? Restraint of the mind. Damaha, restraint of the senses. Titiksha, forbearance. Iksha, discrimination. Tapaha, austerity. Satyam, truthfulness. Daya, compassion. Smritihi, memory. Tushtihi, contentment. Tyagaha, self-sacrifice or renouncing. Aspriha, desirelessness. Shraddha, faith. Hrihi, revulsion from evil. Daya adi, charity, etc. Like showing mercy and doing dana, etc. Charity, etc. Swanirvritihi, and absorption in the self. These are signs of sattva. So, all these qualities, when we have to grow in sattva, Sattva Guna, all these qualities have to be cultivated. All these qualities have to be cultivated. Shamaha, Damaha, Titiksha, Iksha, that is control of the mind, or the restraint of the mind and senses, forbearance, discrimination, austerity, truthfulness, compassion, memory, contentment, self-sacrifice, desirelessness, faith, revulsion from evil, charity, etc., and absorption in the self. All these are signs of Sattva Guna. So, a seeker has to imbibe these qualities, cultivate these qualities, love these qualities, be aspiring to have these qualities. So these are very, very important. And in doing so, what exactly we should do? What exactly we can do? When the Sattva Guna increases, what happens? What happens when the Sattva Guna increases? Bhagavad Gita says, say a seeker has stepped in the path of spirituality, is treading the path. These should be the qualities in front. And there are others also. Viveka Chudamani has said some more. So, the seeker, apart from listening or reading about the self or Brahman, trying to contemplate on Brahman or the self, must also imbibe and cultivate these qualities, which are the qualities of Sattva Guna, which alone will make the mind restful, which alone will make the mind luminous, which alone will make the mind tranquil for the self to be revealed in oneself. So you cannot escape this. We have Sattva Guna, no doubt, but we have to make it so much, we have to grow it so much, so that the influence of Rajoguna and Tamoguna becomes less and less. So you can say that it should be a project for all the seekers, and it should be a very, very enjoyable project. Actually, when we take to the spiritual path, when I'm taking all these things, I'm always thinking, in my life, of my spiritual life, did I think like this? Did I go like this? Did I do one by one? No. But only one thing was there. I wanted to be pure. I wanted purity. I aspired for purity. I asked Swamiji, please, Swamiji, tell me, how can I become pure? And Swamiji gave only one line reply: love purity and purity will be yours. Love any quality and that quality will be yours. And what a deep statement it was. And it went deep into my heart. So, I don't think I ever knew in the beginning what is, these words I knew, but what are the effects of these things? Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, how Rajoguna and Tamoguna become a hindrance and Sattva Guna becomes an aid for sadhana, I did not know. I only knew that I want to become pure, I want to become calm, I want to be luminous, I wanted to be absolutely contented by myself, my own self. I think only that much aspiration is enough for any seeker. That will take you ahead. Take you ahead with lot of joy, feeling of bliss. It will happen. This wanting to become pure, purity is necessary. And ultimately the purity is desirelessness, egolessness, self-effacement. Always we are thinking this I to be this limited body-mind complex with all my achievements, my qualifications, my ideas and my ideals, my preferences, my prejudices, with all that, I am this I. I feel that this is I. And all that belong to me, I feel around me, whatever is there, all belongs to me and those are mine. These are the problems. This is the problem for any seeker. That I-ness does not go. The kartritva does not go. I am the doer. I have done this, I do this, I will not do this. This I, always the I comes in front. How will this I go? One has to aspire. One has to think that let me be completely effaced. Let myself be completely effaced. Let my identity completely get effaced. I just want to be one of the many in this universe. So many creatures are there, so many trees are there, mountains are there, rivers are there, so many things are there. I am a small speck in that. But we become so proud. We feel that I possess this, I have achieved this, and always that I comes in front. How will it go? With Sattva Guna, the purity, the luminosity, the blemish-freeness, the constant enhancement of Sattva Guna, that is necessary, that is why. It reminds me, I will read out to you something I wrote about this. In my spiritual diary, when I was every day thinking how to efface the self, how to efface the ego. So I wrote, all my writings were addressed to the Lord. Posha, my pet. In Bengali we say Posha. So I wrote, O Posha, when I looked outside through my window, I noticed the 2 hibiscus flowers, orange color, in the very small plant just outside my window. The 2 flowers were still half bloomed. They had not bloomed as yet. All the flowers which bloom in the garden, they bloom for your sake and shed themselves as offering at your feet. Like the flowers, may I too shed my whole being at your feet and lie there. That was the feeling. As these flowers bloom every day, some will shed themselves the next day. They will fall down on the earth. And some after maybe 1 or 2 days, but they fall. They are all shedding themselves at the Creator's feet. And looking at those flowers, I felt like the flowers, may I too shed my whole being at your feet and lie there. As they bloom to be offered at the Creator's feet, I, who am also created by the Creator, felt that I should also be offered at your feet, O my Lord. There is no speciality. My identity is only this. I am a flower among all the flowers at your holy feet. Just like these flowers, they bloom, they fall. They don't even know whether anybody has looked at them, anybody has praised them, anybody has recognized their beauty. They just bloom with the joy of blooming, and they offer themselves and they shed themselves at the feet of the Creator. I too, on that day, felt that I too want to become like that. Just not this being, not what I am, what I feel I am. I am just one creature among all the creatures, a flower among all the flowers, to be shed at your feet, at your holy feet. Let my self-effacement be more and more complete. I felt that this is what is self-effacement, not to have any special identity, not to feel that I am this or that, completely getting merged into this universal identity. Let my self-effacement be more and more complete. As a drop of oil, when poured into a vessel of water, spreads into the water completely, leaving its own identity, may I also lose my separate identity and spread and become one with yours. Just like when we pour a drop of oil in a vessel of water, the oil, which was a drop of oil, it had a separate identity at that time. It was an oil drop. And when it falls into the water, it spreads. The drop is there no more. It gets spread into that water, loses its separate identity. Like that, any seeker should aspire to merge with the universal identity, merge with the universal Brahman, and feel every moment that this identity is nothing. Nothing belongs to me. Nothing belongs to me. Everything is done by the Creator, and I belong to Him. I belong to the Creator, God, and that is my identity, nothing else. Now, all these thoughts, when we start thinking like this, these are happening because of the enhancement of Sattva Guna. When Sattva Guna increases, the thoughts, the deeds, the actions, the words, the interactions, everything will become spiritual, divine, full of sattvic flavor. That will happen. So what happens when Sattva Guna increases? Bhagavad Gita says, Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyat vivriddham sattvamityuta. When the brilliance of knowledge adorns all the sense organs in the body, that is, when the brilliance of knowledge of the self, adorns all the sense organs, how will we know it? Every sense organ becomes very sensitive and attentive. It becomes excellent. Then know it definitely to be the sublime effect of Sattva Guna. When we find that we are able to understand more, whatever we see, whatever we hear, smell, touch, take, we are able to understand what is good and what is not, what is conducive to sadhana and what is not. That is by the knowledge of the self. Then we must know that the Sattva Guna is increasing. Till that time we will not understand. We will do many mistakes. Or we will be under the Tamoguna. Even if we want, we will not be able to improve ourselves. But when we are able to do, and we find that things which we hear, they are increasing our aspiration for our sadhana. Things which we see, like to see, such things, maybe scenes of pictures of deities or Bhagavan, God, or pictures of nature, the mountains and the rivers and oceans, which make our mind expansive. Similarly, food, everything. When Sattva Guna increases, we'll find that it makes a lot of difference. Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyad vivriddham sattvamityuta. When the brilliance of knowledge adorns all the sense organs in the body, then know it definitely to be the sublime effect of Sattva Guna. When Sattva Guna becomes predominant, my dear children, listen, listen, listen carefully. Why? Why should we listen? Why should we listen? Because it is telling us what Sattva Guna, increase of Sattva Guna, what it will do to us. Then we can assess. We can assess and see where do we stand. What more we have to do. We will be able to understand our mind much better and remove all the traits which brings about disturbance, agitation, affliction, sorrow, and bring about all that which makes the mind calm, luminous, happy, contented. So when Sattva Guna becomes predominant, a unique brilliance, radiance, sensitivity engulfs the seeker. As one progresses, I think every seeker, if you are doing your sadhana sincerely, seriously, with aspiration to progress through everything, not through only part-time or for some time spiritual practices, through everything that is happening in life. If there is an aspiration to grow in sadhana, you will find, and you must have found, must have experienced that your mind has become more brilliant, more radiant, more sensitive, and these must have come. If it has not, you have to work for it. It has to be. One has to work for it. The seeker's senses, mind, intelligence becomes sharp, astute, and it will display. Display what? Display discretion. It will be able to take right decisions, discrimination between good and bad, and sensitivity. When Sattva Guna increases, that seeker will not be under delusion. It will be able to take proper decisions with confidence and will be able to discriminate between what is right, what is wrong, what is the truth and what is untruth, what is real and what is not real, what is perishable and what is not perishable. All these things he will be able to immediately understand by oneself when Sattva Guna increases, and sensitivity will increase also. Ephemeral nature of world and eternal character of the soul will start guiding his interactions in every way. So when discretion is there, discrimination is there, and sensitivity is there, what will happen? In everything, the seeker will be able to understand what is ephemeral and what is eternal. Whether it is a thought, whether it is a word, whether it is some action, or whether it is an interaction. So, many things he will be able to understand that no use, these are useless. I am wasting my time thinking on these. These will not remain. Why not I spend that time in thinking about the self, or thinking about devotion, thinking of some worship, thinking about good things, noble things, virtuous things, and make my mind blissful. He'll be able to do that. So, this eternal character of the soul will be constantly coming in mind. Even if when there is sorrow, grief, one will be able to understand this, that even this grief, dukkha, is not permanent. As it has come, so it will go. Just before the grief came, mind was happy. And now some grief has come. As happiness has gone, grief will also go. and the mind will be filled again with some kind of happiness. That a samatva is there. All these things the mind will be able to understand when Sattva Guna becomes predominant. When Sattva Guna becomes sufficiently pronounced, what will happen? It will result in all-fold sublimity. The mind will become sublime. The traits, the Rajasic traits and the Tamasic traits, which we have dealt with in great detail, which makes the mind disturbed, makes the mind ignorant, dull, lethargic, all those traits, because of this discretion, discrimination, sensitivity, brought about by the enhancement of Sattva Guna, the seeker will be able to understand that these are not necessary, these will have to go, and will be able to remove them. So the mind will become sublime. And that sublimity he will be able to apply in everything, in every moment, always. So there will be an inner fullness, purnata will be there, blissfulness will be there. The mind will become full with what? Because all those disturbing traits have gone, the mind will be full with the bliss, which is unwavering, unflickering bliss. All along there is a bliss of the self, no doubt, it is there. But since the mind was being constantly disturbed and agitated and afflicted by Rajoguna and Tamoguna, the bliss was not understood. Now there will be inner fullness because of this bliss. And this bliss and that inner fullness, the purnata, is independent, unconditioned. It doesn't depend on any object. It belongs to the self, your own self. All our happiness that we look for in the outside world, it is dependent on objects. I buy a car, I am happy. I pass an exam, I am happy. I get a promotion, I am happy. One gets a child, one is happy. So every happiness is dependent on objects, external objects. But this sublimity, this inner fullness, this blissfulness is absolutely independent and absolutely unconditioned. That is our real self. My dear children, so many times we are hearing, we are talking, we are telling, and you are repeating that this is the real self, this is the real self. Then fall in love with that self. Fall in love with the self, not with the world. Enough of that. Enough of that. Do your duties, no doubt, but love the self. Love yourself. So in place of sensory enjoyment, what will happen? The delight from the soul within will make its appeal. It will come forth like a fountain. Na khidyate, no vishayai pramodate, na sajjate, napi virajyate cha, swasmin sada kridati nandati swayam, nirantaranandarasena triptaha, nirantaranandarasena triptaha. That state, that self, our own real identity. Swasmin sada kridati nandati swayam. In our own self, we rejoice, we play, we become happy, and we become nirantaranandarasena triptaha. A anandarasa, a joy, a rasa, a nectarine joy, which is there nirantara, ceaselessly, unbrokenly, and that will make us contented, triptaha. All the objects around us, that when we are established in the self, all the objects around us will make us afflicted, will not make us elated, will not make us cling to anything, will not make us go away from anything, but will make us go inside us, inside our own within, where there is a fountain of joy. Constantly it is coming out, where we rejoice, where we play, and where unceasingly drinking the nectarine joy, we become contented. We don't want anything more. Contentment is that, when we don't want anything more. We have to reach to that state when Sattva Guna increases. It leads us there. It brings about that sublimity. So, my dear children, every seeker has to strive consistently to elevate himself, to generate abundance of sattva. Now is the question. You will say, all this is heard, listened to. How do we do it? What do we do it actually? What do we do in everyday life, my day-to-day life? So, I will read out one Prabhatarashmi to you, which Swamiji had said, the gunas and its effect on the mind. See, somebody is asking, Swamiji is saying this. This is the Prabhatarashmi. I told you what is Prabhatarashmi. Maybe some new people hearing. So I'll tell again, every day we offer flowers at Pujya Swamiji's feet. At a particular time we all assemble in the hall and we keep his seat very nicely and with flowers, beautiful flowers. One by one, amidst the chanting of Guru Stotras, we offer flowers at the holy feet of Pujya Swamiji and we do pranam. After that is called Pushpa Samarpanam. After that, Swamiji closes his eyes and talks to us for 10 to 15 minutes, mostly on sadhana. So, one day he spoke this. Some of them are published in the book. 3 volumes are there, named Prabhatarashmi. This is from the 3rd volume. People ask, Swamiji is saying, I want to increase my Sattva Guna. Swamiji, I want to increase my Sattva Guna, but I don't know how. What is the method? Please tell me. Yes, this is the method. Taking to Rajoguna activity in the form of spiritual efforts increase the Sattvika content of the mind. This should result in greater and greater love for wisdom. You will also start feeling greater degrees of joy as a result of this. What is this? What does Swamiji say? Swamiji said, yes, there is a method. Take to Rajoguna activity in the form of spiritual efforts. See, why are we not able to progress in the spiritual path? Or why are we not able to increase our Sattva Guna? Because Rajasic tendencies of the Rajoguna is too much, which makes us always active, always thinking something, always thinking of the past, the future, what I will do, what I have done, some plan, one plan after another, one work after another. Now I have done this, after this I have to do this. Even if we sit for meditation, the mind will be thinking, after finishing the meditation I have to do that work. Why do we think like this? Because of Rajoguna. And if it is Tamoguna, then one will not even think like this. Lethargic. Okay, what is the use of all this? Let me go enjoy, eat well, go here, go there, chit chat, gossip, or simply sleep. So, Swamiji is saying, take to Rajoguna activity in the form of spiritual efforts. So, all the Rajoguna energy that is there in us, you turn it towards spiritual activity. That is, chant something, read something, listen as you are doing, think, introspect. Don't allow the mind to think of unnecessary things. See, mind you, again I will tell, when one is in the world, especially in the household, even in the ashram, we have to think of other things, not always of the self or Brahman, because we have responsibilities, duties, we have to make arrangements for some things. People will have to look after children, elders, go and go to the professions. But if we see, we will find many of our time, most of our time available to us, we are thinking of unnecessary things which can be avoided. All that time we should employ, utilize in the thought, spiritual thoughts. So, all the Rajoguna activity, the Rajoguna, the energy that is there, let me do this, let me do that, let us go there, let me call this friend, let me talk to him, or make some plan and go somewhere. All those activities can be turned to do spiritual activities. Go to some ashram, go to a Mahatma, do some seva. Instead of chit-chatting or gossiping, go and do some seva to a Mahatma. Go to some ashram and do seva there. It is such a help. The whole atmosphere in the ashram is spiritual. The mind will be automatically elevated. So, you can, those who are interested or those who love doing worship, do some puja, do some worship, do some chanting, understand the meaning, read some book. So that is the energy of Rajoguna, the activity. Mind does not want to sit idle, wants to do it in spiritual activities. Then increase the Sattvika content of the mind. This should result in greater and greater love for wisdom. Once it is done, it brings about rati, love for the pursuit. And love for wisdom will be created. You will also start feeling greater and greater degrees of joy as a result of this. Now, Swamiji was saying that today, when he started saying this, he said this later, but he was actually saying that many people, they say that I don't find interest. I feel very non-energetic, non-enthusiastic. I feel very depressed. I do not know what to do. I don't have any joy. So, he is taking that question in mind and saying all these things, how you can bring about Sattva Guna. So, Swamiji says that the external reason may be anything. When somebody says that I don't feel joyful, I don't feel energetic, enthusiastic, Swamiji is explaining the external reason may be anything. It may not even be there at all. But the fact remains that people are speaking and complaining about the inner plight of their mind. The mind is beyond matter and energy, and therefore cannot be experimented upon as we do with physical matter. But that does not mean that we are helpless under its vagaries. So mind is bringing about all these kinds of thoughts and making it rajasic or tamasic. There is a way by which all this can be removed and Sattva Guna can be increased. This is what Swamiji is wanting to say. Raining heavily. Shall I start? Mind is an admixture of three basic gunas called Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Tamas always has a dulling effect. It is darkening, delaying, stopping, interfering, resulting in lethargy, ignorance and delusion. Darkening, delaying, stopping, interfering, resulting in lethargy, ignorance and delusion. Rajas represents various kinds of activities with their causes and their motivations. And Sattva represents light, brightness, wisdom and happiness. All these we have seen. The mind at any instance is a dynamic mixture of these three. To begin with, sadhana proposes to free the mind from harmful effects of tamoguna. Tamoguna. See, when we are stepping into sadhana, there will be tamoguna. Today I don't want to meditate. Oh, today I don't want to read or study. Today I don't want to chant. Or today why go and listen to the lecture? Let me see a movie. These are tamogunas. So, depression comes under the dullness, the dulling note of the mind. Understand very clearly that overcoming the effects of tamoguna will take quite some time. But it can be done methodically and with success. So, it will take time, but if one is consistent and methodical, the tamoguna effects can be removed. The urge for activity or feeling bad when there is no work is the compulsion of rajoguna. Many people, I think all of you experience, when we don't have any work, we feel bored. Actually, we should not feel bored. So many things to think about. Why not think of all that we have heard and read, all the slokas that we know? We can introspect over that. It will be such an interesting thing. But people feel bored. They become bored because there is no work. The love for wisdom and the delight it brings about is the effect of sattva. So what should we do? By resorting to rajoguna, we should be able to deal with the dulling, darkening and deluding effects of tamoguna reigning in the mind. So, now comes the interesting part. Actually what we should do. What it says? So resort to rajoguna. Rajoguna is also there. Sattva is in a larger quantity. We want to make it more. Rajoguna is also there, quite much. Tamoguna is also there in us. And the tamoguna makes us feel that, why do this? Not today, tomorrow. Today let me read a novel. Or today let me go and talk to my friend. Why go and listen to the lecture? These kind of things. So, with rajoguna, become active and bring yourself out of this tamoguna. When you are inactive, dull, lethargic, only when you are active and the energy that makes you active, by that you bring yourself up from the tamoguna and do some spiritual work. Then what will happen? Sattva Guna will increase. I am remembering those days, long back, in my initial days in the ashram. Swamiji used to, very few people were here. Swamiji used to take Bhagavad Gita at night. So he will take Bhagavad Gita, reading and explaining. But at that time of night, maybe sometimes 10 o'clock at night, he is also tired. We, the students, are also tired. All are feeling sleepy. And Swamiji would get up to remove his sleepiness. He will get up, walk in the corridor and teach us. So one day he was saying, while explaining these three gunas, that see, there is always a mixture of three gunas. Now see, I am speaking. So my Rajoguna is active. What I am speaking? I am speaking spiritual things. I am explaining Bhagavad Gita. So those are sattva, sattvic things I am speaking. And I am very tired, I am feeling sleepy. So the tamoguna is trying to come and overtake this speech and whatever I am doing. By my Rajoguna, I am speaking, sublimating and overpowering the tamoguna, which is making me feel tired. And with all that, I am saying something sattvic. So this is what is meant, that when in our day-to-day life, we have to bring about, in everything we have to see how we can overtake and overpower the tamasic tendencies and bring about sattvic tendencies. Long back, before coming to the ashram, I am treading the spiritual path. I feel that I am a sadhika. From the time I stepped into this path by writing a letter to Baba and Baba replying me, and my feeling that he has accepted me, I felt my identity is of a sadhika, a seeker. So all my behavior should be a sadhika-like. So lot of sadhana was being done, meditation mainly, some reading here and there. But as days passed, I had more and more responsibilities. I was in a profession, so household responsibilities, professional responsibilities. So sometimes there will be the I think you can increase the volume a little. So, professional responsibilities and household responsibilities, sometimes the sadhana would become irregular. That used to pain me a lot. Pain me. And always that aspiration was there that I should become more regular. My mind should be more focused, more concentrated. Why this is happening? And I would think that if I could get up very early in the morning and start my spiritual practices, how nice it will be. But I was not able to get up early in the morning. I was getting up maybe at 5 or 5:30 at that time. So once I told Swamiji had come to Jamshedpur, I went to meet him there and told him that this is my problem. I want to get up early in the morning. Swamiji said, when do you get up now? So I would have said 5:30. Swamiji said, okay, advance your clock by 15 minutes and get used to getting up at 5:15. Once you are used to getting up at 5:15, advance it by 15 minutes. So you get up at 5 o'clock then. Like that, keep on advancing. When do you want to get up? So I said 4 o'clock. I said, oh. He said, okay. So till you are able to get up effortlessly at 4 o'clock, you keep on advancing in this manner. You know, I did it. I really did, because my aspiration was that I must get up in the morning and start my practices. And it really worked. Why I am saying this? I am saying this, the Tamoguna of not being able to get up, though I intended to get up, Tamoguna was hindering me. So, what I did, I took to this Rajoguna, that some made me do this, advancing the time and ultimately getting up earlier and earlier and doing what? Some spiritual practice. So, the intention was to do a spiritual practice, maybe meditation, maybe reading something, maybe chanting some slokas, contemplating or writing something. All that was there. So, overpowering the Tamoguna tendencies, using the Rajoguna a little bit, I was doing, enhancing the Sattva Guna. And it became so effortless to get up. I'm remembering, so I'm telling you, once I had to catch a train in the morning. The train was 6 o'clock. So to get up, start from the house at 5. So get up at 4 o'clock to get ready and all that. And the clock in the house, those days we did not have alarm in the mobile. We used to have alarm clock, and that too maybe one alarm clock in a house. So when the alarm clock, we were putting the alarm, found that the alarm is not working. My mother was there. She said, she was very worried. Say, oh, how will you catch the train? How will you get up? So I very confidently looked at her and said, Ma, dekho, ठीक 4 समय उठे जाओ. So Ma, see, you will see, I will get up at 4 o'clock. And I did. So this is what, it says, a seeker who wants to enhance Sattva Guna must strive. So I am saying, at that time, in doing this, I did not know what is Sattva Guna. I did not know that all these are in different proportions. But that aspiration was there. What was that aspiration? I must get up in the morning and I should do these spiritual practices. That was enough. That aspiration should be sincere, serious, to the heart, all-engulfing aspiration. Loving that aspiration, that was there. And that is how it became so easy. This I will do, I'll finish next time. Time is over. I think I would like to know from some of you, at least, whether this reading from Prabhat Rishmi really helps you. Some here, they are saying that it is very helpful, and I also. And not only that, when I am reading this, because I am doing the guna thing, I was doing the Rajoguna, all these 3 gunas. So I was looking into the Prabhat Rishmi books whether Swamiji has said something, and when did he say? He must have said that later also, but in the out of the 3 volumes, this is the only one on gunas. And whatever I read, I go and tell Swamiji. Today also I was saying, So wonderful, Swamiji. What choice of words. How beautifully you have explained. It goes deep into the heart. Nobody can miss the import. Swamiji, how do you explain so well? Then Swamiji would be looking at me like this, trying and hearing what I am saying. So this I told him today, and I was asking him, Swamiji, you write, you talk. Many times these days, since nobody is coming, we are also not going, many people are telephoning and talking to you. So I see you talking over the phone. Whoever is here, when they are coming, you talk. If some official work is there, you do that. In between, you are writing, replying letters, writing for Vichar Setu, Vichara Sarani, the most deep and elevated topics you are dealing with. In the midst of that, some letter to Panchayat or village office or the KC we have written, that also you are writing. In between that, I find the painters are painting. You go and like a child, you are looking at them, or how they are putting up the scaffolding. All that you are doing. Many other things also. How is your mind, Swamiji? What do you feel exactly? Without any time, he said, Bhed buddhi nahi ma, bhed buddhi nahi. Bhed buddhi is not there, ma. Bhed buddhi is not there. Bheda buddhi. What does it mean? For him, these are not different kinds of work. Every work is same. Attitude to every work is same. There is no divisiveness. There is no differentiation. The interest and the enthusiasm and the joy with which he does X work, he does so with the work, Y work and the Z work. Everything is same. You know, that is what is Guru Sannidhi. This you come to know from a realized soul, a teacher, a guru. And when he says this, it goes deep, that it should be for us also like this. No differentiation. No work is important or unimportant. No work is favorable or unfavorable. No work is, I like this and I do not like this. Everything is same. And not only work, people, places, events, episodes, nature, everything. It is only one. The whole one universe, universal. The self, the Brahman. Sampurnam jagadevanandanavanam sarvepi kalpadrumaha Gangam vari samasta vari nivaha punyas samasta kriyaha vacha prakrita samskrita shruti shiro varanasi medini sarvavasthitirasya vastu vishaya drishti parabrahmani sarvavasthitirasya vastu vishaya drishti parabrahmani. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru.